It happened in the year 750, and today we can still see what happened. This is how it went. There was a priest who doubted that Jesus was really present in the consecrated host. One day, while he was celebrating Mass, after having prayed the words of the consecration, he saw the host become flesh and the wine become blood.
Really?
Did that really happen? Carlo, who was this priest? What do we know about him?
He was a Basilian, that is, a monk of the Order of St. Basil the Great. It was an Eastern Greek Orthodox order, and in a document of 1631, he's described as a man whose faith was not firm.
Carlo, are there any remains of this miracle today?
The relics are kept in the Church of St. Francis in Lanciano. I saw them there myself. The flesh is exposed in the center of a monstrance, and the clots of blood are in the base of the monstrance itself, in a kind of chalice made of crystal.
And have they always been kept there?
The Eucharistic miracle took place in a tiny ancient church dedicated to St. Longinus. The relics were kept there until the year 1258. In that year, Franciscan monks rebuilt the church and rededicated it to St. Francis. The first written evidence dates back to 1631 and describes in minute detail everything that happened to the priest. Also in the sanctuary, on the right-hand side of the Valsecca chapel, is an inscription from 1636 describing the event. Plus, there are various documents dating back centuries that attest to the veneration of the relics and the custom of carrying them in procession during times of urgent need. In addition, in 1970, the Franciscan monks of Lanciano decided to submit the relics for scientific analysis. This task was entrusted to Professor Edoardo Linoli. He took small samples of the relics and examined them in a laboratory. The results are breathtaking. They clearly showed that the miracle flesh really is flesh, striated muscle tissue from a human heart.
Oh, now I understand why John rested his head on Jesus' chest.
That's why you said it was a Eucharistic gesture.
The miraculous blood is real human blood, kept in a crystal chalice. The laboratory analysis proved this absolutely and indisputably. Professor Linoli's tests proved that it is fresh blood, as fresh as if it had been extracted a few moments earlier.
To be honest, I don't think I understand.
Not a problem. But to help you understand, I'll need to use some more complex technical words. I mean, not everyday words.
So can you explain exactly what happened?
The test Professor Linoli carried out on the sample is called electrophoresis. It sounds technical, but it's actually a very common test, usually used to analyze proteins in blood. First, the blood sample is centrifuged to separate the red blood cells from the liquid part, called serum, which contains the proteins. Once the proteins have been isolated, they're subjected to a constant electrical current, and they tend to move towards the positive pole at different speeds depending on their mass and the electrical charge of each particle. A graph is created from their movement, which, in the case of the Lanciano blood, matches human blood that has been freshly drawn within the last 15 minutes at most from a living person.
Wow! Are you saying that is the blood of a living being?
Yes, exactly. It's the blood of a living being. It's from him who gives us life.
That's amazing! But couldn't it just be a coincidence? Or maybe Professor Linoli's tests didn't work properly?
No, it can't be a mistake. In 1973, the World Health Organization, which is part of the United Nations, nominated a scientific commission to carry out checks and to do some more experiments to verify the Italian doctor's conclusions. These experiments lasted 15 months and included 500 tests. They did exactly the same tests as Professor Linoli. And in addition, they carried out further investigations. The findings of this research confirmed what had already been established and published in Italy.
I'm still having trouble understanding what you've been saying. For example, how can we be absolutely sure that the relics weren't taken from a mummified corpse?
There's a massive difference between the state of conservation of a mummified corpse and the Lanciano relics. The relics, despite having been exposed for many years to humidity, differences in temperature, and parasites, have never decomposed. In fact, the relic's proteins have remained unaltered over time. What's more, the knowledge of human anatomy was too limited at that time for them to have been able to remove the heart from a corpse and dissect it to extract such a homogeneous fragment of tissue.
So that means that the relics of Lanciano can't possibly be fake.
Exactly. Professor Linoli excluded this possibility for 2 reasons. Plus, if the blood had been extracted from a corpse, in a very short space of time it would have changed dramatically due to the humidity.
But has it been compared to other ancient relics?
Yes, in 1973 the Higher Council of the World Health Organization compared the Lanciano relics to those from an Egyptian and from a South American mummy. The difference between them was that the flesh and blood from Lanciano were, as I said before, the same as if they had been extracted the very same day from a living person.
Well, I must say, this is very mysterious.
You're right, Ricardo, it is a mystery. In fact, the mystery is so great that the mind can barely understand or explain it. Just like, for example, the light from the sun, which is so strong that our eyes can't look at it directly. It's simply too bright. Just like the Eucharistic mystery. Remember Jesus' words? He said, "I am the living bread that came down from heaven, and the bread I give is my flesh for the life of the world." When we receive Holy Communion, we really do eat, in a sacramental way, real flesh, alive and glorified, and we drink the living blood of the man God who, released from the tomb, became immortal. And confirmation of these words comes from where Jesus was born. It's no coincidence that he was born in Bethlehem, which in Hebrew means the house of bread, while in Arabic the same word means the house of meat. Jesus said of himself, "I am the living bread that came down from heaven. Whoever eats this bread will live forever."